Greetings, podcast listeners. My name is Tanya Coons, and today I have with me the co-host,
Mrs. Harris.
Mrs. Harris, thank you so much for agreeing to be here with us today to share your story as an educator. Our goal at Impact Educator... Greetings, podcast listeners. My name is Tanya Coons, and today I have with me co-host
Mrs. Harris.
Mrs. Harris. We are so grateful to have her here on our second episode of the Impact Educators and the Vision Challenge podcast. Our goal is to amplify the voices of those individuals who are doing amazing things in education. And guess what? Mrs. Harris is one of those individuals. So today we'd like to amplify her voice, and we'd like to just start with her telling you a little bit about herself.
So I'm a little humble individual from Jamaica. I've been the teacher for over 11 years. I've done high school, 5 years in Jamaica, and 5 years as an international teacher in North Carolina. And now I'm currently going into my second year in Bibb County District School. I have 2 kids. My son is 10 and my daughter is 7. I'm married. My husband, shout out to Mr. Harris for inviting me and telling me about this program that I'm willing and open to share my impact as an educator.
Well, thank you for being here. We are super excited that you decided to accept the invitation. And once again, shout out to your husband for putting you out there,
Yes,
for
ma'am.
even saying,
Yes,
hey,
ma'am.
my
Yes, ma'am.
wife.
Shout out to Mr. Harris.
Yes. Who's another phenomenal math educator. Go back to our first episode to hear his story. And so tell us, what is your vision for education?
So my vision, going by the part that will say every child can learn, I definitely believe that. So with the fact that in my classroom I do a lot of tier grouping to support each and every student, so I can push every student to get to their goal. In the beginning of every school year, and I don't get to just know the kids' personal background, but I want to know their why. Why are you here in 8th grade? Because I'm currently an 8th grade teacher. And then from there, with their personal background, with their whys, and being the guide and the facilitator in the classroom, definitely is the one that's going to push them to get to their why at the end of the school year, and also to see them grow in the education field going off to high school and onwards.
Oh, that's so good. Just mentioning the fact that you include the why. Yes. Typically, when we're talking to adults, we talk about what is your why?
Yes.
But rarely do we hear an educator talk about students and asking them, what is your why?
Yes.
So what are some of those things that you hear from students that let you know this is why I need this education?
So, for example, they don't have the role models at home. So when they come to the school, they look up to teachers. So their go-to person. So having that different environment now, they can see more than what is in their household and understand there's more to life as a whole. So with for example, as a maths teacher, I'm also an homeroom teacher. I'll have students coming to me talking about personal stuff. It might be stuff that is out of my control, but when I do step to like the guidance counselor for support, they see that I care, and then they will understand to be having more rapport with me and kind of making the relationship develop, so they can be better and understand the why maths is important, because I'm definitely grounded by maths as well. So not only talking about their personal life, but understand why maths is important, understand why they need to be in school is also important, and I definitely go by that.
That's huge. I can tell there's a common thread with the why.
Yes.
You know, why the mathematics? Why
Yes.
are you in school? Why do you need to have certain supports in place?
Yes.
That's huge.
Thank
And
you.
so the fact that you provide the supports that they need based
Yes.
on what they are saying
Yes.
versus what you perceive they need, sounds
Yes.
like you're having conversations with these young people.
Check-ins.
And check-ins.
So I'll talk about that one. So
Yes.
currently at Ballard Hudson, where I'm teaching, the first year, the principal, she rolled out something that's called the 1 minute meetings. And the 1 minute meetings, that gets to get to know the students right at the door before they enter the classroom. Just a quick check with us going by 4 questions. How are you? How are you feeling? Is there any issues that you're having? How can I support? Right there and then, the room is going to be safe for that child because they know that you are checking in each and every day. So I go by that. Check in with the students, so you not only just saying, okay, I'm here to teach you maths, but they really see that I'm passionately and I care about them.
Oh, that is powerful. 1 minute check-in.
Yes.
Catching them at the door. I remember when I was teaching, that was one of the things I did. We didn't have the fancy words to check it, you know. But I just knew that if I wanted to connect with my children, I needed to see their eyes. Look me in my eyes, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to see what's going on in that mind. And a lot of times, and I'm sure you can probably attest to this, you can see when there are problems. If you know your students, when you look them in their eyes, you can tell. It's almost like that parent instinct, right?
Yes.
You know, you look them in the eyes and you're like, okay, is everything okay? You know, even if they're saying yes, you still know when there is a challenge or a problem. So that's one way you build those relationships. And then I love the question of how can I best support you?
Trust me. So coming from a teacher and now, the best support is when I look at my students' data. Because with the data now, I can utilize that to meet their needs and their goals. And by doing that, I do tier groupings. So at Ballard Hudson, I kind of implemented small groups for Tuesdays and Thursdays in my department, because we can grab them before that big assessment or that formative assessment or that summative assessment. Just get them to know where they are and how we can support them to get to that next level.
Yes. And so there's a lot of conversation about differentiation and personalized learning and customized services and learn on and on and on, right? You have the IEP that you have to institute, right? And enforce and implement. So tell us, once you see that data and you look at the students, and you have about how many students in your classroom?
25.
About 25 middle school children.
Yes, in each block.
In each block.
Yes.
And so how do you make it to where you are able to meet the needs of all of those children?
So with the rotation that I'm talking about every Tuesdays and Thursdays, also with my reflect, at the end I have data at that moment so I can look at to prepare for the next level. From there I can be strategically planning my lesson so I can support each and every one of my students to move them. At our school we do interventions. So not only in the classroom do I support the students, but we have another section that we utilize, which is an intervention program. It might be group based on the standards. It might be group based on unit, looking at the unit assessment. It might be grouped on just, an activity that was given for that previous day, and then try to support them on their needs with that.
That's awesome. So you have various groupings that you utilize.
And various datas that I utilize.
Exactly right. And that's what I was noticing. It's the qualitative data as well as the quantitative data. So you're not just looking at quantitative data and making all of your decisions. You're also looking at what are students saying, how are they responding, how are they reacting, body language. It's very clear to me, although you didn't list all of those things individually, it's very clear that you're paying attention to everything in order to make the best decision for those students. And so kudos to you for that. The station rotations in middle school.
Trust me.
That's one of the things.
Always on my feet, making sure I'm doing aggressively monitoring every student in that classroom. Yes.
And so how has that impacted, I don't know if you ever had discipline problems, but how do you feel that impacts discipline, reducing discipline problems?
So one, not only the aggressive monitoring, but the check-in. So that supported me, because in my first year at Ballard Hudson, it was tough. I can't lie about that one. But with them implementing that 1 minute meeting checks, I'm definitely seeing changes throughout the second semester, and I'm now confident to go in my second year at Ballard. Also with me going around, and they know that I'm going to be checking. So, I'm going to check to see if this child is able to identify the parts of an expression, for example. Or my goal is to walk around and see, is this student knowing how to identify what type of solution is going on in this problem. So they know what I might state that I'm checking for these 3 things, and I'm going around each and every one. I have my clipboards checking off. Okay, John Brown didn't get number 1. He didn't know how to identify, but however he knows to state the types, and then kind of from there I create my new groups. So they know that I'm not leaving anything out or anyone out in the moment of me going around.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
yes.
That's powerful.
Yes.
So you're using those success criteria,
Yes,
I take
ma'am.
it, in
Yes,
order
ma'am.
to determine whether or not your children are mastering the standard.
And I will know before the end, before the reflect, I can know because I'm doing check for understanding throughout my lessons.
Yes,
ma'am.
that's powerful. How powerful is that? So if you're an educator, take that nugget, that 1 minute check-in, station rotations, using the data to drive everything, looking at those success criteria, and aggressively monitoring along the way
Yes.
based on the criteria, so that you can provide the one-on-ones or the small group rotations, whatever it is that you need to do in order to help the children grow and make the progress they need before we get to the end.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, speaking of that, can you talk to us about, I know the data is embargoed.
Yes.
I'm not asking you to share the details of the data, but do you, based on what data you have right now,
Yes.
do you feel like you're going to be, are you satisfied with
no.
what you have right now?
No, because my goal as a maths teacher is to always have 70% or more of my students to master every concept that I teach, and also every district assessment. So coming from North Carolina, I was an Algebra 1 teacher, and I left there last year with 95% of my students passing their state exam. So I do not look at the school and say, okay, this is a single digit school or this is a single digit district. I'm here to move this whichever school I'm in, and that's I'm also motivated by that and supporting the administrative team, giving ideas, sharing initiative that I've done in North Carolina to also help to support and move our students.
Yes.
So I am not satisfied to where I'm at.
All right.
Yes.
Did your children make progress?
Yes.
And were you surprised at any of the results?
So my biggest struggle was my block 2. So if my principal, Dr. Nash, is watching, she'll know that my biggest struggle was block 2. And looking at the data, I was super pleased with my block 2 results because they know I did not give up on them. It might be some days where I had to say no technology, no laptop, because that was a block that probably gave us some issues when they're on the laptop. So with one day when I said, okay, guys, we're not going to use a laptop for 1 week. And I gave them a CFA, check for understanding assessment. It might be on like 10 questions. They scored the highest. That block had the highest score. So with identify the areas of concern and addressing that in the moment, results can happen. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not stuck with where I'm at right now. I'm looking to grow this school.
Yes. And I'm grateful that Dr. Nash has someone like you on staff who's not making excuses for why the children are scoring the way they are, but who's looking at it as an opportunity to help it grow. You understand in a very powerful way that you are a critical component, critical contributor to the success of that school. And that is unmatched.
And also having a good team help.
Yes.
So I could not do this alone. They invited me, they welcomed me as a family. So now, shout out to my 8th grade team. They fit me right in and they were able to listen. And I said, I'm not going to go in new. I'm going to show them what I'm capable of doing with their support for me to understand their culture, their environment. And so they did.
Oh, that's powerful. So shout out to the team, because that's not always what happens. You know, sometimes people reject the new people that come in and know they're going to have to fend for themselves, figure it out for themselves. But the fact that they provided you the supports that you needed, you were able to thereby do the same for your students. So shout out to that 8th grade math team.
And the team, the entire team.
The entire school team. Yes, that is awesome. Now, where do you see yourself in the future of education? So now you're teaching. And you've been doing this for 11 years in different locations. And so now, where might you see yourself maybe in the next 5 to 10 years? What's your aspiration?
I'm currently enrolled doing my master's at American College of Education, and I'm doing curriculum and instruction. So when I heard about Miss Coons, I said, okay, I want to get some insights on how to be an instructional coach. So that's where I'm heading. Try to be an instructional coach. So trying to get those coaching endorsement, whatever it is, so I can get there. I'm definitely trying to get to the right person to lead me to that pathway. But that's where I see myself, in the instructional field.
Yes. Well, that is awesome. Curriculum and instruction is the way to go if you want to do that. I tell people, even if you want to be a building leader or a district level leader, you still need to know curriculum and instruction, because if that curriculum is not solid curriculum, then you're starting off with failure. Yes. And then they're trying to provide instruction on something that's already a failure, right? Yes. So you're going to end up with failure.
Trust me.
So that being said, knowing good quality curriculum, and that curriculum is more than just a textbook. Yes. It's the holistic components of what children are learning. That's exactly right. Yes. And then knowing that good instruction is good instruction is good instruction, whether you're instructing a baby or an adult. Good instruction, it spans the globe, the spectrum, right?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And so just knowing some of those high-powered 5 to 10 good instructional practices in a specific area as an instructional coach, knowing what works in ELA, what works in social studies. Do I need to look at DBQs, in the area of social studies? What works in science? Yes, we have to do labs, but how do I write up a lab in a very effective way? Yes. And you have to look at expert documents in order to be able to do that. What do I mean? We call them exemplars. We call them samples. We call them examples. There are many names for it.
Have the same meaning.
Same meaning. Yes. So we're giving kids examples of what it looks like when it's done successfully, and not waiting for them to mess it up and then say you didn't do it correctly. You know what I mean?
I understand.
Yes. And then when we start talking about ELA, it's not just about the writing. It's also about being able to read, being able to listen and comprehend and view and synthesize information. If I'm reading something on social media, let's say Facebook, and then I go over to Instagram and read something, I go over to Twitter and read something, and then I read a book about it or whatever, how do I synthesize the information to determine whether or not it's true or false? People are putting out all kinds of information out here, and it seems like
we need a credible source.
There you go. Credible sources. So doing research all the time. They do it all the time on their devices, right? So why not let's teach them the skill of how to do it effectively?
That is the word.
And then the last thing in mathematics, as you know, problem solving is what it's all about. The algorithm of everything is pointless if we're not solving some type of problem.
And they have to understand the concept.
That's exactly
moving
right.
from procedure to conceptual understanding.
Yes. So you clearly understand that a lot of people want to move them to abstract thinking before they ever introduce them to concrete. And then that pictorial thinking, because if it's not a visual inside of the mind, children are not going to do well, right? And so just having them lodge those visuals inside their minds of, if I see f of x, then what am I supposed to be doing with this? If I see 2 times 9, just going basic, versus 2 plus 9,
or repeatedly adding the 9s.
That's exactly
so they can see different ways of representing. Maths is not one way.
That's exactly right. Using exponents and helping them understand what it all means. I personally, for example, talking about concepts, like to start with the exponents and then work our way back to what does this mean? Now, what does this mean for multiplication? What does this mean for addition? And having kids so they can see that the pattern is repeated addition. At the end of the day, it's repeated addition, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so that's one way, or repeated subtraction, depending on what we're doing, our operations. Now, what do you see as mostly a misconception in the realm of adolescent mathematics? What are a few misconceptions?
So just the terminologies, students sometimes, depending on the scenario given, they sometimes get confused. For example, in at least, when you kind of talk about at least, they get confused of the symbols, the inequality symbols, and they relate it to, okay, it's less than. So just terminologies in a whole kind of messed up the word problems of students not understanding that concept. And I think with what Ms. Mehta showed out to our district maths coach,
yes,
implementing or sharing with us the UPS check, the strategies of underlining, knowing what this means and what is the question really asking, eliminating the unnecessary information, students are now able to break that problem apart and kind of understand it better.
Yes,
so
I love that.
The UPS check is the tool that we use.
I love that.
Yes,
and so you said terminology, but I want to talk about that keywords.
Yes.
I remember in elementary we would teach. I didn't do it because I knew better. We have a highly mathematical family,
yes,
as you can see, but keywords we would teach, like you said, less than and greater than. I was just teaching this the other day to my granddaughter. Okay. And so every time she would see like the 4, it was like 6 and 4, and we were trying to determine if that was a true statement or not.
Yes.
And so I said, so what do you know about this symbol? She said, it's the alligators.
They be doing that a lot. They be saying that from elementary.
Yes. And when she said it, I remember hearing that in elementary.
Yes.
I never used it.
Yes.
But I remember her, people saying that.
My son say it a lot.
Yes. And so anyway, I just remember swapping the numbers and making sure they understood the way in which the symbol should be turned.
Yes.
Versus, and I gave her the example. I said, well, baby, is this true? Is that larger than the other number?
Yes.
And she said, no. I said, so would the alligator eat that? Given, the example she gave,
yes,
the alligator eats the bigger one and all that. Would he be eating this?
No.
And she said, no.
Yeah, no
so
way.
that means that it's not going to be a greater than sign.
Yes.
She was saying it was greater than. And so just helping our kids understand the concepts, to your point, versus just every time you see it turn this way, it's a greater than sign. That's so not true.
No, not at all.
So not true. So anyway, as far as misconceptions are concerned, what do you do in order to unravel those misconceptions for children so they can open themselves up to learn whatever it is that they are confused about?
So I'm big on error analysis. So I would say, okay, this student worked this problem this way, the other one worked it this way. Mm-hmm. And they will kind of do some discovery learning for themselves, and they will identify some mistakes. I'm also one that really believe that anchor charts, having charts in our classroom, can support our students. So going with that vocabulary, they can refer along with examples or Freire models and graphical organizers. So those tools being provided to the students can also support that misconceptions and the error analysis for sure.
Yes. So you're using just best practices.
Yes.
And when I think about gifted and ESOL, which is where my hat lies, I think about the fact that those are things that we used.
Yes.
The Freire model, we use the anchor charts, error analysis, item analysis, even for the adults. When your kids are taking tests, drill down to the actual item in which they are making these mistakes and figure out why they're making the mistakes. So that's huge. The last thing I think I want to reference before you can just share whatever you'd like to share is, how do you build relationships not just with the students, we've talked about that, but with the adults on your team? So how do you make that happen?
So I'm a talkative person if I'm comfortable around you. If I'm not, then I'll just try to learn from you. I'll ask questions in our meeting, participate a lot. However, the team meetings with 8th grade that I'm currently at now, because they're open and friendly to me, I do not have a problem. But building relationship, I haven't encountered a bad relationship with an adult. So it's just natural for me to, when I come around you, the environment feel welcome.
Yes.
And that's just it.
Oh, that is awesome.
So I do not have a bad experience to say, okay, this is what I do to get the relationship going. I just be me. And then others accept me.
Yes. And so you welcome the fact that you are, or embrace the fact that you're talkative, and you enjoy people, sounds like. You just really enjoy people. So when you first encountered your current team and you were new to that team, what did you do in order to insert yourself? Did you just start talking to them, or did you build a relationship with each individual? How did you go about navigating the newness? So
building relationship with them, kind of share my experience in teaching as well, and going for support when needed. And that's how I think the relationships start building. When I let them know I don't know it all, I'm in an environment that is new and I need the support. So that's where conversations start opening up, and then leading into other parts of the school, talking about needs of students, regular discussion about things that are circled in school, and from there things just start moving smoothly.
I love it. So it wasn't fabricated conversations or small talk. You were having real conversations, like, I'm sharing the things that I know. Things that I don't know, I'm asking for help. And then when there is a general conversation about students and I have some type of knowledge about it, you share that knowledge. And so in that way, you built those relationships. That's powerful. So what last words do you have for parents? Let's go for leaders. Let's go for departments, and then parents and students. Okay. And you can go in any order you'd like. What final message would you have for each of those groups?
So for leaders, I will say, let it be a buy-in, let them understand the vision and the mission, not just because reading, you come in the staff meeting and you read. You have to let teachers know what this means by doing different activity. I'm trying.
That's okay. No, it's fine.
Doing different activities, so they can understand. I'm stuttering. I don't know that.
No, you did. So they can understand. What would you like for? So you want them to do different activities so the teachers can understand how to implement it themselves, maybe? Basically modeling what you want teachers to be doing with students.
That's it.
Is that pretty much what you're saying? Yes. And then think about it also, what message might you have for departments, whether it's ELA or math or whatever, people who are working together and collaborating together? What message might you have for them?
Try to branch out from just your school. Start to communicate with other teachers in other schools. Hear their ideas. Share your ideas as well. Do joint meetings. Okay. So sometimes the district might say, okay, this school is the top school. No, we want to have all the schools being moved in our district. So how about enforcing collaboration, whether in team department, team meetings, whether it be in content meetings, have collaborative meeting throughout the school year can also support, instead of just, okay, after assessment, let's all meet and talk about our data. So constant communication does help.
Oh, that's
from
really
others
good.
Outside of our building.
Yes. That way you can work smarter and not harder.
Yes.
Because I'm sure, others have encountered some of the things you may be encountering, and vice versa. And so you're able to share your knowledge, once again, ask questions, and then build those relationships across schools. And our kids are so transient. Why not build relationships across schools? You know what I mean? They're so transient, which can be a beautiful thing in that it helps us to learn and grow faster. The other part is to think about the parents and the students. What might you say?
So just to reach out to your teachers, reach out to your child teachers, that is. Check up. It doesn't mean that, okay, little Johnny gives some trouble today, or that's the only time you're reaching out. It might be, constant check-ins. Know that we're going to be having parent square. All right, was their homework? How was my child today? It doesn't have to be, okay, this teacher is calling me about behavior, so let me call, let
That's okay. That's okay. You're fine. You're good. Doesn't have to be about behavior.
Yes.
So, like you said, reach out before there's a problem.
Yes.
And then if there is a problem, then you've made a deposit, right?
Yes,
to where you can withdraw something, because guess what? I've already reached out. That's right.
Yes.
Built a relationship, and you know that I care about your child, or the teacher knows that the parent cares about the child just as much as the teacher cares about the child, because that's the biggest concern. Sometimes parents wonder, does this teacher really care about my child as much as I do? And vice versa. Does this parent really care about the child's academics as much as I do? And so what you're basically saying in general is reach out on both ends. And finally, to those wonderful students.
Ask for help when needed. It shouldn't be only, okay, I'm going to ask when I'm stuck on just this one problem. But you might say, okay, I need extra practice at home. Is there opportunity for a one-on-one tutoring? Because I do that as well in my first semester at Ballard. I open my classroom door early to support students before the regular school hours. So some teachers are open like that. So reach out and see how you can get support. If you're not the one that's hands-on, say to your teacher, okay, I'm an audio person, so the teacher can provide activities around those different ways to support you.
That's so good. So basically, it's on the student to know, how do I learn information so that I can inform my teachers and others who work with me so that they can best help me to learn and grow. Well, thank you so much for being a part. You've done an excellent job.
Thank you so much.
Excellent information. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for asking. And we look forward to the great things that are going to happen with you as a future instructional coach.
Yes, ma'am.
We love it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all so much for watching. Have an amazing afternoon.